Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be talking about Cardano. Some fantastic things have been going on recently, some wild speculation and all of that good stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and consider subscribing, tapping the bell, selecting all the notifications will keep you up to date with all of the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you are looking for more from the crypto space, check out the Patreon services linked in the description below. We actually offer a lot more for our Patreon members via the Discord server. Everything from AMAs twice weekly, what Chris and myself are up to in terms of buying, selling and staking, trading, project reviews, and just a whole list of other things. So check those out if that's of interest to you. And obviously, if you're not in the Discord server, guys, you are missing out. Make sure that you head on down to the Discord server, linked in the description below. It's like the centralized hub of everything Cheeky Crypto. Basically, everything kind of runs out of the Discord server. So go ahead, check it out. It's completely free to join the Discord. I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Okay, let's talk Cardano though, right? So it's been a pretty interesting few days, week or so for Cardano's ADA. Now, obviously, Cardano is one of those that splits opinions, right? Some people love it, some people hate it. And that's entirely up to you to kind of make your own mind up after doing your own research as to what you feel, is being built on Cardano, essentially, right? And I'm not here to kind of tell you the ins and the outs of absolutely every single granular level detail. You should probably do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor. So really, all I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on it. And you should go ahead and do your own research. And you have to dig deeper than these other influencers across TikTok and Twitter and whatnot who don't generally know or have an alternative motive into maybe spreading something that isn't actually factual. So I think it's important that you kind of do your own research and dig deep whilst doing it. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of this stuff that's going on, right? So we'll start off with what we spoke about the other day, and that is Cardano ADA to the moon, right? There's big kind of titles and things like that, but basically it's now one of the top 3 NFT, protocols out there, which is fantastic, right? We spoke about this. Now, the biggest NFT collection reaches monumental milestone. So the Ape Society, Cardano's biggest NFT project, reaches a 10,000 ADA floor price, which is pretty decent levels, right? So things are starting to really heat up on the Cardano ecosystem, specifically with their CNFTs and things like that. So this is just, something I just thought was worth kind of bringing up in relation to what we were talking about the other day, and how the volumes on the NFTs on Cardano have just absolutely skyrocketed. Now, when we think about NFTs and we think about the different platforms that they're on, you obviously have your kind of go-to, your staples, right? You have Ethereum. It's right up there for NFTs, right? You have the Solana ecosystem. For NFTs, it's phenomenal, right? Although the uptime of the chain is a little bit problematic. Then, of course, you've got side chains, right, that are running on Ethereum. So, these are things like Polygon's Matic, right? And these all have great ecosystems for NFTs. It's a thriving NFT ecosystems that are out there. And now, of course, you have to enter Cardano into that category as well. Okay, so you cannot just simply ignore what is going on there. And I think it's worth to kind of getting an idea, doing more research on it and understanding how NFTs on Cardano are operating and what that might mean for NFTs in the future, right? There's a lot of things that come from NFTs outside of Ethereum, right? Ethereum ultimately from an NFT space kind of limits utility to a degree. Unless it's on a sidechain like Polygon, there's only a certain amount of things you can do with them. Now, essentially there's a lot of speculative investment when it comes to NFT, but we have seen NFT volumes dropping down quite significantly on the Ethereum chain and Solana chains. And this is because there's utility that needs to be added in my opinion. But again, I just think it's a nice kind of, thing to kind of focus in on for NFTs. But that's not really why I wanted to do this video. I just saw this one out there and I thought, actually, this is a reasonably good piece of news that I thought you guys may have missed or may not be aware of. So I thought I'd just start here. And the main reason for this video is really this one. This is actually a really interesting piece. So the first telemedicine app ever launched on ADA. It's a big step for adoption. Now, this particular article, which I will link in a description below, is interesting. And there's a few things inside here that are interesting to me as a data analyst, and kind of, things that I find quite interesting. Might not be interesting to you guys, but nonetheless, I think these are some fundamental things that are occurring in the background that you just don't generally see, by going across, I don't know, TikTok or Twitter or whatever. You kind of skim past some of these interesting kind of metrics. And there is one that's in here that I found quite interesting. So obviously there's a screenshot here of the test transaction of 10,000 ADA successfully processed by Cardano's ADA testing network. But the other thing that's really interesting is the 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 score, which shows the cryptocurrencies undervalued and likely to see price jump onwards. Now, this is where things start to get interesting, and maybe where I start to differ in opinions a little bit from the article. But nonetheless, that's interesting to kind of see what this metric is indicating to us. So I'm not going to go through the ins and the outs of all of this. I mean, I did pick up on the emotional kind of response. I think it's emotional because they finally did their test transaction and it worked and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's emotional, not price. At least that's what I hope. I mean, I haven't digged into this any deeper than this, what this article is suggesting. But you know how emotions and crypto going together, it isn't a good idea, right? So we try to be emotionless, not emotional. But nonetheless, we'll see. I mean, I'm thinking it's more because they've been building this DApp, and it's good to finally have that across the line, right? With terms of the test transaction being successful. So that's what I'm taking from it. I'm not going to assume that they're a bit emotional over price movements. So let's just put a pin in that and say that's not what's happening here. Let's move on, though, into the kind of interesting stuff, okay, because they talk about Cardano being undervalued, and this is really where things start to get interesting, in my opinion. Okay, so basically, the on-chain indicators for Cardano's blockchain network shows that ADA's price is currently largely undervalued. Now, I hold a lot of Cardano. Chris holds a lot of Cardano's ADA, right? And we always think that it's undervalued. At least at these particular prices, it seems incredibly undervalued. And obviously, people will look at market cap and misunderstand what market cap is. Market cap is basically circulating supply multiplied by price, right? So when we think about market cap, basically price dictates market cap. Market cap cannot and should never be considered a barrier because it does not dictate price. Okay, price dictates market cap. So the only thing you really want to understand is the price undervalued or overvalued? What drives price movements, which is quite simple. It's basically circulating supply or supply lines, and of course your demand, right? Demand and supply are absolutely everything. So when we talk about, appreciation in price for Cardano, I know there's a lot of comments, lots of hate in the comments below, because you can go ahead and check. There'll be some in there, and they'll say that the market cap can't possibly be $200 and whatever billion, or whatever they might say it is, right? It's just, that's not realistic. It's not going to happen. It's too much value. Well, market cap doesn't represent value. Price does not represent value. Okay, and that's why I find these things really interesting. Okay, price is simply supply and demand driven, and price drives market cap. So if you can control your supply and you can control your demand, you can control price. And by controlling the price, you control, that's right, the market cap. But, I go into this far too often. But essentially, these are reasonably simple things to understand. And the fact that the calculation for market cap is so simplistic should be an alarm bell in itself. That being said, I do agree that Cardano is undervalued, right? It's a long way around going about it. So basically, Cardano's ADA is showing some volatility recently. As of the time that this article was written, ADA is trading at about 35 cents. We'll jump into the charts in a moment and see what's going on there as well. And continues to be among the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Again, just ranking market cap. It's just macro level pricing. Fine. On-chain data provider Sentiment reported Cardano now sits at its lowest relative position compared to its realized value since January 2019. This is a sign of undervaluation based on average trader losses. ADA's price doubled the following 3 months, the last time the 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 score hit this level. Now, the thing with this is that there's lots of different ways and you can analyze a number, right? You can analyze the hell out of something. But at some point we have to kind of say, okay, what's logical, what's not logical, right? Now, do you expect Cardano's price to, let's say, double in the next 3 months because this 𝗕𝗓𝗪 Z-score is essentially at that same level it was previously? If you're expecting Cardano's price to double, then you're going to have to expect some other cryptocurrencies to double as well. You don't usually find one cryptocurrency going off in one direction and, let's say, Bitcoin and Ethereum going in another. That generally doesn't happen all too often. Possible, yes, but not something that you'd expect to see happening specifically with something like Cardano, in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump down into the charts. I mean, I would love the price to go up. Like I said, me and Chris hold a lot of Cardano, right? So we'd love the price to double up in the next 3 months. But let's be realistic about it at the same time, right? And we can't just blindly assume that the price action is going to move up very, very significantly for no apparent reason. So let's talk about the price action, right? So what's going on here is that we have completed 3 waves up, in my opinion, although there's still potentially some volatility to be expected. Okay, so again, our trade entry for our Patreon members was down here. We got a really good kind of entry point in here, and we kind of, exited out, I think, around here. This is where I kind of got out of it. I wasn't overly happy with staying into an unpredictable B wave, so kind of got out of here, and good gains were made. We rallied up, we completed the C wave, fantastic. Okay, now we'll see this is the area of resistance at the top. So if we start thinking about the kind of the here and the now, the shorter time frames, do we think that there's a bit of a move to the upside? Sure, I do think we could potentially come back up into our resistance lines at the top here. That's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. The problems really come when I start zooming out a little bit, right? We jump up into the 4-hour chart here. So get rid of those for a second. And we bring this back in. And what do we actually realize is that we're actually in a 4th wave movement to the upside. So the price can move up, but it's not going to double. We're not talking about moving the price up to 70 cents or so. And that's going to be far, far too high. Instead, what's going to happen is we're going to move up potentially towards our 39.89 cent range and then collapse down into our final lows. Now, a couple of points. This could be a big wave 3 if we hit this low box down here. Okay, and this one is basically coming in 29 to 31 cent. After that, then we move up into another wave 4 situation up here, when again I don't know where this is going to go, so it's just roughly placed, and then we come down, heading down towards 22.23 cent. So do we think the price is going to double? Well, no, the structure and the traders are showing us, right? So for those who do not know, Elliott wave theory is basically tracking crowd behavior, right? So basically it tracks the psychology of people who are actively buying and selling and trading ADA. So with this, we have a structure that is indicating that we are trending to the downside. Shocker, I know. And of course, we're dissecting this down into multiple different levels of trend depending on the time frames that you're on. Essentially, everything looks like it should be moving down towards our Y wave low here at 22.23. That hasn't changed. It's been that way for months. And even with this 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗍 Z-score being where it is, doesn't really break this sentiment of how the people are behaving. Okay, now of course we might see changes in this data. We could create invalidations and we could see certain things occur, and if they do, then of course we react to them and we adjust our Elliott wave theory structures to suit that of what the crowd are doing. But for now, it appears with their recent behavior that everything is following as per the structure of our time frames. So essentially, the price action of Cardano looks like it has to move down. There's a couple of moments of volatility, sure is. I mean, we've got this move to the upside or around 39 cent, for example. We've got to move back down. We're going to be looking at around the lows of 30 cent. And then we've got to move back up again, wherever that may go. And then, of course, after that's done, we're going to collapse back down into new lower lows. Now, that also splits opinions, but I will say that ADA has already hit new lower lows recently. That happened down here with our entry, our sniper entry on our trades. So essentially, for the most part, the bottom is in on some coins, the bottom's not in on others. Whatever your sentiment is, however you feel about it, not a problem. Okay, but we have to understand that we're in a bear market and the prices will continue to go down into new lower lows until that sentiment and until that demand kicks in. Because, and I said this before and I'll say it again, basically, a bull run is devised by having a demand that is greater than the supply. And in a bear market, it is, of course, when the demand is lower than the supply. So basically, if the supply is in abundance and the demand is low, of course the price is in free fall. This is pretty much a simple concept on pretty much everything, right? If you think about the let's say, fuel crisis, right? If the supply chain is squeezed and there's little fuel coming into, let's say, the United Kingdom, then essentially your prices are going to go up, right? People are willing to pay more because it's scarce, right? And when that supply is in abundance, actually prices fall down, right? They go down lower. This is a pretty simple kind of thing to understand. So really, essentially, all we're looking for is in this bear market is for that to shift. At the moment, there's an abundance of supply and not really much demand. And as soon as those things flip around, all of a sudden we're out of a bear market and we're into a bull market. So in the case of Cardano, I'm not sure that this particular metric is going to be one that sees Cardano's price double over the next 3 months like it did previously. Things were vastly different then. I actually have things mapping out, pretty bullishly on short time frames, but bearish on the larger ones. So essentially, I'm not overly optimistic about kind of the output of what is to kind of come and to follow. So yeah, that's kind of what I have on that one. If you found this useful, guys, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And don't forget, guys, join us down in the Discord server. I don't think you'll regret it, guys. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.